today for a little Watch Your Mic episode. Let's go, Viss. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for being here today for, what do we got now? Is this episode 5? 4?
I don't
can't
know.
remember,
I don't even know what episode we're on.
we're getting a couple under our belt now. We're
did a
starting to
few.
get rolling, so.
We did a few.
Did a few. We're getting comfy here. I still need to stop slacking and start getting the stuff reposted so people can, follow the growth and the lineage of the talk show and the chemistry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But let's just do like a little check-in. Everything been going well, brother? Same old, just killing the game. Everything good?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I guess on stream it's been a whole lot of Apex recently. Like me and Crafty been linking up to play some ranked.
Hey, Crafty's back on the Apex.
Yeah, he's been playing some Apex with us recently, and then I don't know. Obviously me and you jumped in together some. We had played
Yep.
some of the finals, right?
Yes,
the
which
finals
I see
pretty
they've been
solid.
making a lot of changes there too throughout the beta, which is interesting to see too.
Right. It's funny because it kind of grew on me over time. Like when I very first played, I'm like, dude, I don't know about this game. It's not that good. And then like the more I played it, and then I played it like the more I played it with other people and actually played it with like a full squad in the tournament mode, I'm like, okay, this game actually has potential. Like the mechanics of it are pretty solid. It's just I just don't know about the game mode. I think the game mode's the one thing that's holding it back right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that I remember talking to you at first too. Yeah, like just to give it some context for everyone listening, I remember getting into like the first early thing, and I know Viss did a test previously when I was talking to him about it. He was just like, "Yeah, I don't know about that game, man. Like, I'm not sure." And that was kind of like my thought process as well. But I firmly agree. Like, 3-stack and playing that game in the most competitive style is definitely going to be the way to enjoy that the best.
Yep.
And when they get a little playlist behind it, I could definitely see that being, a very cool like grindy kind of game. But it feels like one of those games where like if you're not sending it on that game, it's gonna be tough to stay like in the mix. Like I don't know if that's one of those games that you could play like part-time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Kind of like Counter-Strike. With this new Counter-Strike coming out, I like hopped in Deathmatch the other day and I was like, holy shit, like the way you move in Counter-Strike is so different than like how you do in BRs.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just way different. I was like, man, I got to get back on the horse and like figure this out. It's hard to go between different games when they're not like BRs.
Yeah.
Kind of like
yeah. No, I feel you on that. I could see them, like, I almost think they need to go like the Overwatch route where you got like these few different game modes that are pretty unique to your game. Definitely. And if they did that, and then they continue with that tournament mode, I think they could have something there.
100%. I do kind of like how they got that bigger map too. Like it gives them more possibilities for other game modes. Like Overwatch's maps are pretty, I think, designed around like the game mode, like the payload or something like that. So they're pretty like one-dimensional. But that map was so big, and with the destructible environment, it was just crazy. Like the possibilities, right? So I think they could do a lot of different game modes in the finals that would probably be, pretty freaking successful.
Right.
Foundation is solid. And now that we've kind of gotten started here with the gaming talk.
Well, I want to see what have you been up to? What have you been up to?
Yeah. A little check-in back. Yeah, dude. So I've been, man, I won't lie. I've been playing PUBG still, but it's getting harder and harder for me to play, man. I'm kind of at that point where like I like it's my favorite game of all time. I really enjoy it still. But the thing is like, when you're doing something and you know that something isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
But you're still doing it.
Yeah.
And you're like. You come to that crossroad where you're like, do I keep going down this way because it's familiar and comfortable?
Right.
Or do I start going down the other road that's a little bit more unfamiliar and definitely a little bit more uncomfortable? Do I kind of go down in the middle? And really, that's kind of where like I've been at recently. Is like I'm kind of looking at this like three-way part in the road, and I'm like, do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go down the middle? You know what I mean? So that's kind of like where I've been at recently in terms of like the stream and just like with the brand and the career. So I'm excited for like maybe some of these new announcements and some things that should come out in the future that maybe it'll kind of like bring a game back that everybody's playing again. But right now for me, I've been finding some good rhythm and some good vibes with doing like a bunch of different variety, combining like these talk shows with some other games outside of PUBG, still sprinkling some PUBG in there as well for that style of things. But I definitely can feel myself like, dang, trying to find that pivot at the moment. And Man, it's hard because when I go to pivot, like, see, I need to find what you found with like Apex. I need to find that with a game too, where I can kind of get like sink my claws into it again. Because sometimes I have a hard time finding that, you know,
Right.
like that next game where I could really get into it. I
Right.
need to get into like another game again, you know, man. Because frick,
You know
it's
how many
hard.
people are like that right now, though? I think so many streamers are at that spot right now, bro. And that's kind of one of the funny things about streaming is, you know, you find that those games and like they're great. You love them, you play them, you still like enjoy them. You think they're a great game, but there comes a point where it's like the content you can create around them just isn't like there anymore, and there's not going to be like future opportunities in the game,
Yes.
and it's got to be some. It's one of those things where it's like you got to figure out something else, and that's one of the crazy
100%.
things about streaming. And it's like I don't think people understand like how that feels as a streamer, like how scary that is. And like it's straight up, it's
Dude.
like a scary feeling. But bro, it's part of what we do. It's part of what you do.
That's
You're
right.
You're like, bro, I have to figure out something else. It's like this shit, it's something else, or my channel's just it's gonna like make or break me if I don't.
That's right. You got to ride the wave, you know, and then you have the whole thing too, where you're saying as well, where it's like, if you don't do it that way, then you have the whole side where it's like you double down on what you're doing, and then you know, your mental is getting jeopardized, you know, because then it's like every day you're doing something that you might not necessarily want to do, you know, and then you're just pounding your fucking head against the wall over and over, like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, because I'm stubborn, you know, and like, that's how I get sometimes. And it's like, and then afterwards I get done, I'm like, oh my God, my brain is just like shot, you know, because it's like, I just spent all day like doing something that was like not necessarily like what you envisioned happening or like wanting to do,
Right.
you know what I mean? And I think you put it good as well, where it's like, that's the thing where it's like, the game now, like I'm at the stage of my career, like I want to keep going with this. So it's like I got to see what games look like they have a future, you know. So that's really what it is too. Is like coming to find out like what games have those futures, and like I think, like you said, that's just a problematic thing right now in the industry, which is why we've probably seen a lot of this like reaction viral-esque content become so popular, because that gaming content has dried up a little bit, you know, and people are going back to, instead of making content from like the game or the gameplay or the content itself, people are back to making that very user generated, you know, kind of. I mean, what am I seeing now? All the clips again. Like, what are people doing? These online chat room things again, where like you sit there and somebody pops in on the other screen or something like that. Like, I think I've seen some video. But yeah, so to summarize that's exactly kind of like what would have been my thoughts lately. And I like that you said that with the future thing. And you know, it's interesting because when you're a streamer, like imagine you worked for a company for like 5 years and like you did pretty well by them, and you know, like you've had a very pleasant experience, and then like, you know, then one day the company was just like, all right, you got to go back to where you were like 2.5 years ago, you know, and you got to start all over again, you know, and that's kind of like what it is when you switch to a new game. You're like, dang, I've put in a lot of work over the past couple of years, but like now that I'm switching to another game or pivoting my style a little bit, I'm kind of like where I was about 2.5 years ago now. Like I've gone back in a way, which is like a very interesting thing. And like you said, but that's just what it is. You know, that's part of the business. You know, that riding that wave, that up and down, going with the flow, and just the adaptability. You know, what did it say? Adapt or die, right, brother?
Right.
And that's kind of what it is. Like that, I don't think you could have a more true quote when it comes to like a live streamer / content
that is
creator.
such
like,
it's adapt or die.
If you don't adapt, you die. You know, and
it is really adapt or die.
It's crazy, but you know, it is. You know, in a way, I do kind of like it because it keeps me.
There's
some
fun
motivated.
To it. Yeah,
exactly. Like you said,
you'll learn some stuff about
baby. Let's go.
You'll learn some things about yourself too, bro. That like you wouldn't be able to learn otherwise. You know what I mean? Like
that's right.
It's I love how you made that analogy. It's like you could have been like working at your job for like 5 years, you do a great job, you're like killing it, right? And then like you said, it's like, oh, okay, bro, this things have changed. You're back here now, right? Just out of nowhere. Which I guess those things can happen, right? But
sure.
It's
buyout happens, you lose your job, like you know, like someone gets laid off.
It's more about it. More be like it's more like your like company just went out of business type thing.
Yeah.
Where you're working for it, it's like, all right, I have to go find something else. Gotta go find something new now.
It's funny when you think about it, man. But you know, there probably are other like, and I wonder how much of that also, you know, we're both entrepreneurs and we're both self-employed. You know, I can't speak. I'm not sure if you have other things going on like in the background that could also help you understand. Like maybe this is like a self-employment thing.
I think that's really what it is.
People that are successful, like it could be any sort of self-employment. Somebody has a huge plumbing fleet, and like maybe some days they're just they're in the shit. They're making the bank, and then other days they ain't got no shit to be in, so they don't got it. So it's like maybe that's just more of like a thing of self-employment.
I think that does hit.
Because that's
pretty
the
close
thing.
Actually.
A lot of things that happen on Twitch, I think a lot of people think is related only to Twitch, but when you have some life experience and you've been through some stuff in life, you kind of realize like all these things that people have discrepancies with on Twitch or issues with on Twitch or things that arise on Twitch, that's all happening in real life too, But the Twitch-verse is very small, and it's easy to think that this is only like a live streamer issue. Right?
Yeah. It definitely expands outside of that.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good,
good little section right there.
Yeah, right. The way to start it off, which I think that would be actually perfect to roll this into. So with streaming, and this whole, what we kind of just talked about being so up and down, pivoting a lot. Now, granted, you get to some of the level of some of these guys, and the pivoting doesn't really be as detrimental to your career as it could be at another time.
Yeah, once you get like absolutely ginormous as a streamer,
huge,
like you
right?
can
like 10K
almost do
viewers.
anything you want to do and like pivot in any way, and it's gonna work.
Right. Yes, and even if you do, and like it's all relative, right? Like somebody who has 1,000 viewers pivots, they're gonna have 500. Somebody who has 15,000 viewers pivots, they might have 10K. But when you're starting off at 10K,
the thing about
10K
10K
can become 15K again, like that, overnight.
The thing about 10K on Twitch is like you're still the #1 streamer in almost any category right now if you have 10K. So it's like you pivot something, and then it's okay. Well, you're still the #1 streamer in that category, so it doesn't really matter.
Exactly. It might be a little bit of a pivot mentally, but in reality, like you're gonna be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like without a doubt. And that kind of like I was about to say, that transitions into like we saw another pivot this week between two big streamers, which kind of a little bit outside of content creation. And I'm sure you've talked about it quite a bit because I know a lot of people have been bringing it up, but Shroud and Sacriel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we looked at that yesterday. I was wondering what you're leading into. By the way, what happened?
Yeah. No, nothing big drama, nothing crazy.
Yeah,
just how these guys.
How about
pivoted.
that, man? How about that? So, I guess for anybody that doesn't know and hasn't heard about it, Sacriel and Shroud have teamed up with a gaming studio to make their own survival game. And so I watched the video yesterday on stream, and going into it, like all I was thinking the whole time is if any streamers out there can team up together and make an amazing game, I like Shroud and Sacriel would probably be like one of the two people first that I'd be like, put these two together and let's see what they can do.
I definitely agree with that as well. I think they make a good combination. Like Sacriel, I don't know Sacriel too well, but just what I know from his content, I know that he's like a very analytical, like kind of guy. He's been playing a lot of games for many years. Like I think he does have a pretty good, like a pretty good mindset when it comes to like what makes a good game.
Right.
And Shroud just adding that like raw game input with like being more of like a shooter competitive side, and Sacriel being more of the like creative analytical side.
Right.
I do agree with you. I think they should come together pretty well and make. I got high hopes for that one. That survival genre is right up my alleyway. So like to see that and then to see those two together, my interest peak is definitely through the roof.
Yeah. I mean, playing with Sacriel over the years, whenever you like, you go into a game with him, and he's always got an idea. He's always got like a better way you could do something. He always has like, so it's gonna be really awesome to see like him finally get to put like his mind to work in that environment and see what he can do with it. And like you said with Shroud, coming from like a competitive background, but Shroud has those ideas too. Like if you ever watch Shroud streams, like he's always like. He always has some really good ideas in there, and it's gonna be really interesting. Like I wonder behind the scenes now. I would love to hear like let's just fast forward and say that like eventually they launch their game, right? Let's say it does well, doesn't do well, whatever it does. I would love to like have an interview with them afterwards and like ask them like all the things they learned, like from trying to use their ideas and incorporate them into a gaming studio, because. That's always the thing I wonder. It's like, okay, we have all these ideas, right, as people that play these games, but like when it comes to implementing them, and it intersects with the devs, and the devs are like, well, that's a great idea, but this is the problem with like how you're going to try to implement that. So that's something that I would be so interested in to ask them afterwards, because think about it, as streamers, how many times you streamers are like, bro, why don't they just do this? Why they could just do it like this? So I'm wondering, after this is said and done, is it something where they could have just done that? Is it something where they could just implement these features? From the ground up building a game.
It'll give us a look into that. I actually didn't think about that. That's a great point. We're like, those bastards could have done that when we thought they could have.
Or maybe
and they said we can't, but goddamn it, they could have.
Or maybe it's gonna come down to like, like when we went to actually try to implement some of these things, like this is what happened and this broke and this is why this didn't work, and so then maybe it's more of along the lines of like, well, maybe we just don't really understand all the things that go into this.
What type of tech setbacks or software mishaps will happen, which don't allow you to actually get some of these ideas that people have on paper and into the game or into the code. That'll definitely be a good insight into that. So I didn't even think about that. That would be actually really, really good. I also wonder, like, I feel like with the video, it gave me the good vibe that this studio is really into the Sacriel and Shroud combination as well. It wasn't more of like a publicity thing, like, hey, we're teaming up with Sacriel and Shroud, like two really big famous streamers to bring hype, but actually we're teaming up with them to like listen to what they have to say. Yeah. Because I feel like we've seen this before with streamers giving inputs to games and games which developers taking this input, but it usually comes down to
more of like
clout thing.
Dude, those were like more like sponsorship marketing ploys a lot of the time.
Yes,
where it's like, oh yeah, we brought this streamer in the last like 3 months after the game was already freaking made before we were gonna launch it, and then we had some feedback from them, and then we were like, oh yeah,
it didn't change anything.
It's really just some marketing thing to push the game.
Precisely.
I at least I got the feeling from watching the video, like when you seen them behind the scenes, they're like having discussions. They're already play testing these things. It seems, at least they made the video. If it's not that way, they damn sure did a good job of making it feel that way. So I think that I think it could be that way.
Agreed.
My question was like, how long do you think they're along the lines in this? I wonder if anybody's asked them when would this game be expected? Is it like 2-3 years out?
Yeah, that was my original thoughts too. It's like I want to get excited, but I know how long these things take, and we'll roll into this in a few minutes, but just to reference it, like the same thing with Dog, like they got something to do today, which we'll talk about, but that took a year to get there. So like if they took a year to get there, how long is Shroud and Sacriel's game, right? So I was talking about that yesterday, and somebody mentioned in the chat that apparently it was either one of them has been involved in this project for like a bit of time now. I think like upwards of a year or more. So I guess they already have a base build that's in the circulation in the studio. So maybe not as long as we think to start getting some like testing in or starting to get some looks at this product. So I had the same thoughts. If they're just announcing this now and just starting now, it's got to be a minimum of a year, probably closer to 2. But if this has been a a WIP for a little bit now, maybe they could get something rolled out in 12 months. But that's a great question. So I hope we see some news about that sooner than later. That way we don't lean into one of those like perpetual hype stages that we see a lot of games struggle with, like Super People. But and I hope it doesn't happen to the finals, but I even have had some concern about that three week long beta, with all the, you don't want to create the hype for too long because then people start losing interest. You want to give them a little jolt and then deliver a product so they can sink their teeth into it and you could start building that way.
Right.
Do you think I had one more question about that for you is, do you think that, so we're seeing a studio where it really seems like, based on what I clicked in on the article, is that they're developing a game for streaming, Oh,
and interesting. I didn't realize that was like a thing either.
Yeah, I think their whole thing is here. They want to develop a game that is going to be creating content for like long periods of time and streamers and people that are playing 6, 7, 8, 9 hours.
Wow.
Do you think that a studio heading into a development process with that, is that going to hurt them? Or is it going to help them?
Dude, no. I think nowadays that's going to help you, bro. Because if you can create like really amazing, fun, engaging content, and a lot of streamers are going to play the game and enjoy it, that brings people in. And like the thing about that is like, in order for the game, if they're gonna be designing the game around that, it's gonna end up just being a good game in general, anyways. You know, it's not like a game that's fun to watch isn't gonna be a game that you start to play and it's terrible. If you're having fun watching it for 6, 7, 8 hours, you're gonna have fun playing it for 6, 7, 8 hours as well. So
that's a good point.
What I was gonna wonder is like, is this gonna be a trend that we continue to see? Because we kind of already had like Doc, he builds his own studio, he starts making his own game, right? Now we got a new studio teams up with Sacriel and Shroud, and they're designing. Are we gonna start to see like the studios work with streamers a lot more from the very beginning, and be able to develop these games as time goes on and use different ideas and whatnot?
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be, buddy. Like, how can it not? I mean, you look at like I just mentioned, Super People. Like, you look at that flop. I can't imagine if they worked with streamers more that they would have had the same outcome. I look at that with even a AAA studio title like Battlefield 2042. If they would have had some more streamers involved in maybe the process, like coming out, maybe they wouldn't have flopped on release as much as they did too. So it doesn't matter whether the project is big or small. It seems that like a studio of any size could potentially benefit from that. So yeah, I think that's probably a trend line that we see moving forward more. But I hope, like we've discussed in the past, that it comes more from like a genuine development standpoint than like a marketing standpoint. You know, and as long as they do that, I think that it could be beneficial. I mean, I've kind of had that experience even with way back in the day with PUBG. I was on a call with the studio director from Korea, TS Jang, and we talked about the game for like an hour and a half. Like, he doesn't speak English and I don't speak Korean, so we had to even use a translator.
Right.
It was like a very genuine, thought out like call process, and I could tell you that like after doing something like that with a developer and then seeing some of those ideas get implemented into the game, it is like a pretty cool process to see when games do actually do that and do actually listen. Now, you know, to crack a joke, I can't say they listened too much after that, huh?
Yeah, you know, the funny thing is they listened in the beginning, and then the game got big off of it, and then they were like, all right, we'll see you guys later. We don't care what you have to say anymore. Because
elbow in there
I was
on
one of those calls as well. And it's like you said, some things got implemented, and then it was like, all right, see you guys. We don't need your help anymore. Goodbye.
Smelly streamers, get out of here. But yeah, that was great, man. I mean, listen, I see the comments in chat. You know, we get a little Viss Bino. You know, listen, we might be a good addition to a studio out there that might be looking to pick up a couple knowledgeable, seasoned individuals in the gaming space here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially if like imagine if it came to like a tactical battle royale. Oh my God, get me in there, bro. I'm gonna be throwing some ideas around. We're gonna be, and you know, the one other thing I thought about too is like, I wonder if this game will launch and not have like nearly as many bugs and issues, because I like Sacriel or Shroud, like they will find those things so like easy. It's interesting how once you like get really like you've played enough games, you played through so many different games and whatnot, like you can go in, you can just find these freaking bugs, dude, and you can find all the like
almost recreate them, right?
And like they have the minds for that too. So I wonder, it's gonna be real interesting to see.
And they got a lot of friends that also have those minds.
Yeah, they do.
That I think would be very willing.
Absolutely.
To test.
Absolutely.
Wink.
That's the other thing.
Test out that stuff a little bit too. So they also have that side of it. They got the network.
I think it's such a good idea for them to get streamers like this, because then it's like, dude, I mean, who doesn't? We're other streamers out here, dude. I love Sacriel. I like Shroud. Like, who wouldn't want to hop in and try to help them make a game? If they need like people to come and play test, give your feedback, thoughts, anything.
I'll sign an NDA
like,
for that.
Anybody, like tons of people are gonna want to help with that as well. So I think it's just an amazing idea from the studio. Amazing
100%. I think, you know, based on these conversations, everyone could tell that we're both genuinely excited for what's to come, and everyone's been bringing it up as well. So I'll definitely tell you, they capitalize on that gosh darn hype factor. So
that's true.
Let's just hope that we get something sooner rather than later. And like you said, with the whole, you know, AAA survival game, you know, I do have some questions like, or do we maybe see something that's more of like a PUBG DayZ style, considering they've also been playing a lot of those style of games? It is AAA survival. Maybe they implement something that has a little bit more of like a PUBG gunplay with a DayZ open world. Like I said, the more I think about that, the more I get excited.
When you just saying that makes me think like, this game might have some of the best gunplay out of any game that we've ever played.
Because
Shroud,
they love
Shroud,
PUBG gunplay
yes,
too.
yeah, like both of them love PUBG gunplay. Like I've always heard Shroud say that he thinks PUBG is the best gunplay, and I would have to agree with that. And like he's like Shroud will never be satisfied with a game unless the gunplay is really good. So just knowing that, like, whew.
Exactly, and like I said, that's that pure combo, that strategist side of Sacriel with that like shooter side of Shroud. You really do think, like, when you look at it, you really do think that they're gonna strike some gold there. At least I freaking hope. And we know the gaming industry, needs a game like that. Another one of them open world. You never know what's gonna happen. Story kind of games. Yeah, that's new and updated. Absolutely. So we don't have to revisit DayZ every 7 months.
Dude, it's wild. Someone was saying yesterday, like, bro, I've been playing DayZ. I'm like, that shit's like a decade old. Like, how are we still playing DayZ?
Like, I'm interested in the ideology of it, but I just don't. It's so old,
Like the mechanics and all those things.
You spend 30 days building this character line, and then you go to shoot somebody, and you're like, "What is this?" And then you're dead, and you're like, "Well, I'm glad I did the past 3 weeks of character development to just like die to some jankiness." Or like you walked off a rock and broke your leg. The good old DayZ classic.
Yeah, it's wild.
Then you're calling around. Dude. All right, well, yeah. So, to summarize, Shroud and Sacriel announcement. If you guys didn't see it, check it out on Twitter. Splash Damage, I believe, was the name of the studio. They've got a bunch of tweets out, or you could look at Shroud and Sacriel.
Do you know if they've made any other games?
Did you? I actually don't know that. That's a good thing to maybe even Google search quick to see what's.
I'm trying to look it up right now. Video games: Outcasters, Bank, Batman: Arkham Origins, Dirty Bomb.
Okay. They did Halo MCC. Oh, and Gears 5. Oh, okay. I've heard of Dirty Bomb. I've seen it played, but I've never played it. I think that's like a very fast-paced, like cartoon-esque shooter, but I think they also were behind the Gears of War studio.
Right.
I see Batman on there. Oh, and Wolfenstein. Okay. All right, they got some games under their belt. Some of them I have no idea what they are. Like Outcasters, no idea. But some of these I am.
If you got the talent, you can make Halo MCC or freaking Gears 5 or.
I'm confident with the title that you could come out with. Yeah, I even had somebody who's in the space that said that Splash Damage is a big player.
Right.
So I think they're regarded as pretty high up in the space. Are they? I wonder if they're publicly owned. Or if they're privately, like, I wonder if they're publicly traded. Either way, I don't know if that matters too much. That's just me being curious. Okay, so next one coming up on the topic of creator release games. And, like we mentioned it earlier with Midnight Society and Doc kind of like obviously leading this trend. Not surprised, 2-time does that often. Snapshot 5 releases today. Yeah. We have a year in development. Snapshot 5. I know Viss and I both have founders accounts. I know that we've both been into previous builds just to click around, check it out and stuff like that. I'm excited to see how far they've come with this new Snapshot release today. And I know it's a pretty big event behind it, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, well, they're having like a meetup in, I think it's in Dallas or something.
Right, with Optic, I think, and a couple big streamers. Like, isn't like Lupo there or something like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But
so I think they're doing a LAN event for it, and it's a reveal that they'll probably be streaming, I'm sure, I think, everywhere. But
yep.
What do you think about that? So, like, knowing Doc, I think it's going to be great, and I think that he'll steer things in the right direction, and I think that they've assembled a really solid team and studio.
Right.
I don't know about the game genre, like the game style, for me personally. And with it being the whole NFT thing, do you think that will help or hurt them?
That's an interesting question. So when it comes to like speaking about the game, I still think it's like so early on that like you really don't know how it's gonna end up, right? Like I trust their studio and I trust that like Doc's gonna have great 100%. Creative ideas, and when it comes to being like the director behind a game, like I don't doubt that it ends up being a pretty solid game at the end. When it comes to the NFT thing, I don't know. It could be wild. It could end up being like an absolutely amazing game from that.
Right.
See, like the big thing about that, anybody hears NFT and like immediately a lot of people think like, oh, the scam. Like they think of like all these just random NFTs that were like worth like millions of dollars that went to zero.
Yeah.
But when it comes to if you attach an NFT to an in-game item, that just makes it so that you can like trade it, right?
Correct.
And there's gonna be like value behind those things and everything. So,
yeah, their NFT basis is more about ownership of your account and your items rather than like ownership of like a JPEG online.
Well, think about
no NFT people slay me for calling it a JPEG. I know we all have terminology for all this stuff. I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to the NFT thing, so forgive me. Not trying to diminish anybody's NFT investment portfolio by any means. But with that being said, I think doc stuff is more about like owning your account. Like you own that, and all the items are yours, and you can sell those for real life money if you want, which is essentially what you do with Counter-Strike Ghost skins. If you think about it,
right. See, so like the thing is like these things already happen. When it comes to like people sell accounts, people sell skins. You know,
somebody offered me like $4,000 for my Steam account the other day because I have some like special PUBG partnership items. I was like, buddy, I just can't sell you the name. I mean, it's not about the skins, but I can't give you the name. But like, people are all about that stuff.
Right. So I'm trying to think. Wasn't it Diablo 3? Diablo 3 had like in-game auction house that you could use like actual money on and everything.
Ooh,
people like were making that their job.
We're making like $20,000.
Yeah, they were making that their like job. They were like just playing the game and like farming items and whatnot, and then sold them. So
that's right.
Like that part of it makes me think like this game could be insane. Like there might be like mercenary style shit. You get your best buddies and friends. You go in like what if you're going for like an item?
Power line.
What if you're going for an item that's worth like 50 G's or something? You know, like you're going to try to get some item that's worth like $5,000. Yeah, and you guys get that out, and you actually made you guys split up 5 G's amongst each other because like that would be pretty freaking. Imagine the concept behind that too. Imagine like, oh my god, these guys. They've got an item that's worth $10,000. They're getting attacked right now. They're gonna lose this. They're gonna keep like the amount of emotion that would be attached to like content like that. And
watching that.
People, I don't know. It could be wild. The big thing is what Jake Sucky said, though. It's like, man, what happens? I mean, you're gonna have like the best anti-cheat system of all time.
Yes. Say it louder again, Viss, because that's what it's all about right there.
You will have to have the best anti-cheat system of all time because, dude, if you're starting to talk about money like that or anything, like the game is gonna get destroyed with years. You're gonna have to have the most on-lock anti-cheat system you've ever seen. You're gonna have to, and you're gonna have to have
more
like
intrusive than
an anti-cheat team that is like constantly on top of things, 24/7, like
maybe
looking
even like
for
a
these
referee
people
that watches every match. You know, like seriously, you're gonna have to start getting like a certified like cheat referee or something, and they have to literally observe like every single game. Because like you said, if they could pull that off, holy shit, man. Not only would I love to play something like that, extracting something with like money, but then having somebody watch that, that's like watching a fucking tournament every day or like a crazy esports event. You know, like
that would be so
insane.
wild.
The spectator value as well as player value would just be unmatched, never seen before. But like you said, they got to figure out some way, you know, to nullify the cheating aspect, or it'll probably be like the worst cheating we've ever seen in gaming.
Absolutely. It will be the worst cheating you've ever seen in gaming if you got like money on the line like that. I'm just thinking, like, imagine a scenario where it's like two big streamers get in the same game, like it's Nick and like Shroud or something, and they're both in this game together, and like Nick's got an item that's worth like, he finds an item in the raid and it's worth like 5,000. And then like him and Shroud started like fighting. Like Shroud kills him and like takes the item and like extracts with it. It's like the most talked about clip of all time, I think. Like where some like two streamers that run into each other and steal the other person's item that was worth like actual $5,000. Like I don't know.
The chats would be going nuts. You know that would be that would be really sick. So
I don't know. There like there's gonna be giant plus and minuses that come about from something like that. Like. If the game does do really well and is successful and it's actually like that where you've got some in-game items that are worth like a crazy amount, there's gonna be like really like cool things about the game, but there will be like also some wild problems that they run into that probably have never been seen, because I'm just like, when you got that type of money on the line, there's gonna be a lot of scumbaggery going on, dude. A lot of it.
Got to use some of this AI, this GPT for the anti-cheat development or something.
Yeah,
you know, like we got to get ahead of the
game.
We
need some
robotic
anti-cheat
shit. You know.
Mm-hmm.
We need to figure out how game developers could start using this GPT shit to like code their anti-cheat in their game, and then we'll be good. Because that stuff is fucking crazy.
You have to hire, like you said, you're like referees. Like, what if it would actually be kind of a cool thing to stream if you went to a game, and you're like for like just an hour or two, where you're like the referee in a match, where you're checking everybody to make sure they're not cheating or walling. You got some like
bro, imagine being the Herb Dean a dead drop, you know? Like you got the main event tonight. I'm the main event referee of our dead drop or whatever it's whatever it's called, dead drop match. We got this. And everyone goes wild. You do your little symbol like the heart sign or something. You literally could be like the Herb Dean.
Who am I, Mario Yamasaki?
Right. I think they said he did that because it's like it's actually not for like love, but it's because he'll never stop a fight unless someone's heart stops or some shit like that. Like
that was
like
the meme. That was the meme behind it.
Dark. Right? Yeah.
Oh man.
That would be kind of funny if they did have some sort of like dedicated game like ref at like they would be the ones that watched all the players, and like maybe the anti-cheat would be so intrusive that like it would literally be scanning files, and the admin could see all these files in real time, and one gets flagged and like, whoa, we gotta flag this guy, pause the match. It's like a low blow, like go to your corner, all right, file's good, all right, back in action, something like that. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if they have that side of it locked in. I'd imagine this is probably like the number one discussion at the studio based on what they're trying to pull off. There's no way to like not have that discussion every day when this is like the basis of your game. So I'm hopeful for it. And I guess the other thing is too is timeline, to wrap that one up, is like timeline with that. So I'm sure after today we'll probably have a better idea of when like everything's going to start going down and when people are going to actually start like playing it often. Estimated guess by Viss, how long until dead drops like fully rolled out from moving forward from today? What do you think? 6 months, 10 months, a year?
So like when people are like playing it consistently,
like when you're going to go online and people are in the dead drop, or they release an earlier build that people are like,
I still think we're like a year. I still think we're like a year out from that. What do you think?
I don't think he'll. Yeah, I think a year is a good guess. I would definitely give it 6 to 12, like in the months. I know that doesn't really narrow it down. Probably closer to like 10 to 12. So I definitely agree. They don't seem like they're rushing the market. I think they know that what they're trying to pull off is really ambitious, and if they rush it and fuck up, they'll be dead on arrival.
Right.
So I think they're definitely gonna like be meticulous about it and take their time. I mean, I feel like they already have been. It's crazy to think that already a year has gone past. That went pretty quick because I feel like just the other day I remember them announcing that. So yeah, I think like 10 to 12 months is probably a pretty safe bet as well. And what'll be interesting to see is how does Shroud and Sacriel and Splash Damage align with Doc and 12 a.m. and what those releases. I wonder, who knows?
Right.
Maybe Shroud says, a little friendly competition, like we're gonna drop this around the same time or something. Like it'll be interesting to see if they.
I don't know if they would do that. I don't know if they would do that.
They drop it the same. Yeah, I feel like they're pretty close. So like,
right.
they might be a little bit more.
If anything, I think that like
civil, but
I would actually foresee that, and I could be wrong about this, but like I would foresee that they both are like very supportive of each other's stuff. That's what I would,
because it's a brand new, like a crossover industry here. So it's like we don't want to compete. We want to
see this. Yeah, we want to see this do well. I would have to imagine that both of them want to see each other's, like when streamers get into helping make games, that they would want to see that each other do well. Actually,
I would 100% agree. I think that would be a better way to go about that when they start that off than now. Like, haha, we're going to get more people in my game than yours,
Like, say fast forward like 5-10 years from now, and like this is a trend where you constantly have like different gamers or streamers or pro players working with developing a game. Then you might see the thing where it's like, all right, we're going head to head against these guys. It's then I might think you might see more of that sort of thing. But
dude, that was some good. I won't lie, like. It's speculation, but talking about this stuff and this new kind of crossover industry we're seeing, it's kind of making me excited about gaming again. like you said earlier, like we've talked about a lot. Like a lot of people have probably heard a lot of content creators, mainly gaming content creators, talk about is like it's a little dry out there. It's been a little dry out there. You know, everyone's got their games that they picked up a little bit back that has carried them through the years. They're still having fun with them. There's been some great titles that have come out. Don't get me wrong. It's not like the industry is just trash. Like it's out there, but it's not what it was. So I kind of feel like maybe this is that. You know, we went on that giant rocket ship in gaming and content creation, and then COVID happened. It just boomed even more. Then we plateaued a little bit, maybe even downturned a little bit, and now maybe we're coming back. And now it's time to start that uptick again, and maybe we'll get another kind of like meteoric year like 2018 was for gaming and streaming. You know, maybe by like 2024, maybe at the end of the year, and like really make it like exciting and unique again to like be in the gaming space. You know, a boy can dream, right?
Yeah, well, whenever there's like a hole in a market or there's opportunity, eventually someone's gonna fill it, you know. And so it's only a matter of time.
Maybe we're there. Maybe we've made it there. It's been a couple years, right? Yeah, or maybe we're getting closer. And like you said, now all we need next is a studio that wants to make a tactical BR to come hit up Viss and Ham, and we'll get you straight, baby. We'll get you going down the right path. All right. All right, I got a couple Twitch things just to gloss over quick here for doing our talk show and stuff like that. So I'm sure you've seen the tweets about this new ad system they've rolled out. So they've gone from like this ad program of like guaranteed contracts and times. Like they'd be like, okay, you got to stream this amount of time for this amount of ads, and you'll get paid this amount. Now it's like you select a time slot, and from what I've seen, it's all like estimated.
Right.
It's just like you might get this or you might get that. Am I not following it correctly, or like is this? I don't know if you saw anything or had any thoughts on it. Like it just looked a little weird to me that they went from a guaranteed amount to like a wide ranged estimate.
See, I don't know a ton about this because how ads work with my channel is a bit separate from this.
That's right, with the TSM.
Yeah, with
right?
TSM and whatnot. And so, but from the very beginning when I very first seen this ever get rolled out on Twitch, had a few different thoughts. One, it's like this type of thing was bound to happen eventually because Twitch is, from my understanding, even up to this last year. I don't know about this last year, but the years before that, I know Twitch wasn't profitable. Like Twitch was still losing money, and so they were gonna have to do something at some point to change that, right? It's only going to be so long the Amazon's going to be like cool with the fact that a company's just burning through cash and not 100%. Actually making a profit. And so that 100%. Was one thought. The other thought was when I seen these coming out at first, and it was like just some like absurd amounts for some of these streamers where it's like you run like flipping 5 minutes of ads an hour and someone's going to make like freaking 20 fucking grand or something.
Yeah. Like
it's like some big streamer. And it's like that type of thing from the very beginning was like, there's no way they're going to be able to sustain this type of thing. And eventually it's going to change. My thought was always like they're doing this to like train these people.
Rope everyone in.
Yep, rope them in, train them into this program. You're going to get them used to it, do it for a month or two, right? And then you're going to flip it on them. And that's the same feeling I get when I hear the thing about Kick where it's like 95% rate to the creator. It's like, bro, you can only do that type of thing for so long. You're trying to rope some people in and then you're going to flip and change it up once you got them
60-40 or something, right?
And so like when it changed to when I seen these like people start tweeting, I was like, I knew this type of thing was coming where they're it's gonna get a change up. So
yeah, it's it's interesting you say that, and I think that kind of comes down to like the thing is where people want to trust Twitch. You know, I think they want to give Twitch the benefit of the doubt. But like, you know, it comes down to the factor like, man, Twitch is a very large corporation these days. And as you've seen in the past, it's hard to give corporations benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you know, if you have an understanding of how it works, you know what they got to do to make things work. And they don't, you know, corporations never really cared much for personal feelings, opinions, or thoughts when it came down to getting what they got to get done.
Right.
And I think I kind of agree with you on that it does kind of seem like they rolled out this ad program and it was more advantageous at the time. And as it has gone on and developed, it has become less advantageous for the streamers and a little bit more of like well, what the hell is going on? And at first, like you said, you see some big streamers posting it, they seem pretty happy with what they were getting,
Right.
you know, and then you saw some other streamers posting it and they weren't so happy. And now I'm seeing everybody posting it not so happy.
Yeah.
So like you said, that sustainability of that, you know, in the beginning, now it's like, well, not only has it just not like the payouts have gotten worse, now the payouts have become estimated, and like the estimated range from what I've seen on some of these Twitter pictures,
yeah, it's like
crazy. It's like 700 to like 2,500, but like the ad time's the same. So it's like you're telling me that like, and then like you said, you think Twitch is going to pay out that higher estimate?
Well, yeah,
I don't know. Put my money on it.
I would like
they
them to
the lower end
clarify.
of it, right?
I would like for them to clarify, or maybe they have done this and people just haven't shown it. It's like, what is that estimate based off of? What is? I have no clue. Like I don't, like I said, I don't have that program, so I have no idea about
ad minutes per hour. It's ad minutes per hour. So like you'll pick like 3, 5, or 7 minutes. I think I've even seen some tweets where they're trying to push fucking 10 minutes. 10 minutes of ads. They're trying to give people deals for 10 minutes of ads.
Dude, this shit's wild.
To get paid anywhere from, you know, like depending on your viewership, it could be $1,000 or it could be like $4,000. But then that's the question. Like you said, it's like, well, if I run 10 minutes of ads and my estimated payment for 10 minutes of ads is 1,000 or 4,000, what am I getting? Am I getting the 4,000 or am I getting the 1,000?
Yeah.
You know, and based on how things go, you're probably going to get closer to that 1,000 number than you are that 4,000 number. But maybe I just don't have a good understanding of how it works. But like you said, it has been interesting to see how this program has kind of become less advantageous over time.
Yeah.
So do you have that same doubt with something like Kick, you know, which is a great thing because with Twitch's thing getting less advantageous, I see more and more Kick things popping up every day. And it's just like, man, it just seems like anywhere you go right now with the industry, it always has been a little Wild West, but like right now it's very much like that as well, you know. People are feeling the distrust and the not so good things for Twitch, and they're trying to go find that in another platform. But then you go to that other platform, and you have no security that you know that they're going to keep up with it, right? So it just goes into that. Right.
That's why you got to spread yourself. This is the good idea to usually spread yourself out across multiple different platforms, or like even have some platforms that you can control in that way. But
exactly, or even fall back on if one starts not working out as well, you know, as another. Then it kind of goes back with that thing. Just got to ride that dang wave in this industry, man.
Yeah.
Right?
You find your path,
CEO
find your way.
Yeah,
did you hear about that?
What
was his name again?
I was going to bring it up.
What was his name?
Emmett Shear.
That's the...
He's been with Twitch for 16 years, but if I remember correctly, hasn't he done a lot of things like over the years, like specifically over the past like 4 years that like people were not huge on, if I remember.
Well,
I remember him getting thrown into like the spotlight a few times from some like, not like anything like political or anything, but just like some comments he made about Twitch, and people were like, "What? Are you sure? Like you're in touch?" Or
dude, I don't know. I've never really, you know how like CEOs of a different company, like you got like Zuckerberg, right, for Facebook, or what was the lady? She just recently like stepped down from YouTube. Like you hear about like them, and they're like actually active in their community on a social platform. And this Emmett Shear guy, like, bro, I've never. The only time you ever see him talk about anything was like maybe at a TwitchCon. He does like the hour presentation thing.
The main
and outside
panel,
of that,
right?
like you have no idea about him. Like, I don't know. I don't know when it comes to like behind the scenes what that guy did or didn't do, but it just seemed like there could have been like a lot more done, at least to connect with the community more than what he's done.
Yeah, and do you think that, you know, kind of on the topic of like with the gaming industry and all these new games coming out, new people coming into the space, do you think somebody replacing him, this new individual coming in? Now, granted, he's been under this guy's wing for a while, so we don't know how similar of a style he's going to have. I was hoping maybe it'd be like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, you're hoping it would like actually be like a change up.
Exactly, but after reading the article more, I'm kind of like, it seems like he's just was this guy's number 2 for mad long, and now he's the number 1.
I imagine homie number 2 was probably the guy running everything anyway, so like I don't think anything's gonna change.
True. Number 1 was just the face for the
the company, especially
whatever,
if it's getting towards the point where this guy's like gonna step down. Like I highly doubt that he was like really doing all that much in the end anyways. Like they'll probably over the last couple of years is probably been the number 2 guy.
Right, yeah, because it's always the infrastructure at Twitch is interesting. You know, they got a lot of employees. I mean, I visited. I was in I was in San Fran for a PUBG tournament a couple years ago, the world tournament that was happening over there, and I was able to go get a tour of the Twitch office, and man, I didn't realize like it's huge. They got a huge building in downtown San Fran. It's like 18 floors. They got cafeterias, all this and that, like tons of employees. Like you actually forget, like as a streamer, it's easy to not realize like they really do have like a full blown corporate operation going on over there. And like you said, like man, if that guy's already been there for this long, I don't think it'll be a breath of fresh air. But the optimistic individual in me was hoping that maybe it would be. With the gaming and fresh air, maybe we'll get a little breath of fresh air on Twitch. But like you said, when this guy resigned and he was like, "I've been here for 16 years," I was just thinking the same thing. It's like I don't even really remember too much.
I don't even know this guy. That's what I don't know a single thing about him. The first thing that
came to mind was like 2 times where he like said something very out of touch with like streamers, and all the streamers were like, "Oh, that's our CEO." Like,
yeah.
Like nobody actually knew this guy, right? So it's like,
Right.
okay, big news for Twitch. CNBC is going to cover it, but like anything in corporate, like us, the streamers were just like, okay, on to the next one, I guess, right? All right, man. And then, so here we go. We're here now, as you know, Viss and I. Everybody knows in the chat. It's no surprise now. Viss does a lot of work with the UFC, but we are massive UFC fans. And tomorrow, we're back in London for UFC 286. You excited, buddy? We got an early card, so East
it
Coast
is
time,
early, isn't it?
You got some daytime UFC tomorrow for everybody watching. 1 p.m. Eastern time for the early prelims. Main event 5 p.m. Eastern time. So what is that, like 3 p.m. and 1 p.m. respectively, Mountain time and West Coast. So early card. We got the main event.
Here's what I want.
Do some thoughts.
Here's what I think we should do. I think we should only choose one fight on the prelims or early prelims, like that you are looking at. Like what's out of early prelims, prelim?
Pick?
Yeah. What's your like one fight you're looking at? Is there one for you? I'll be honest.
Early prelims, I'm excited. I just like that Jake Hadley guy. He's a New England fighter who's been like maybe like 2 fights in the UFC.
Him and
so
Malcolm
I'll probably
Gordon.
watch. Yeah, I don't know much about Malcolm Gordon.
Dude, I swear I've seen Malcolm Gordon fight for like ever in the UFC, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, right. He's been around for a while.
Apparently he's been fighting since 2020 in here.
Okay, so relatively new. Oh, yeah, that's the guy who fought. Yeah, he fought the Mokaev guy. We'll talk about him in a little bit because he's fighting on the main event. But yeah, so I'll probably keep an eye on that Jake Hadley fight. He's a fun fighter to watch. He's got like a big Conor McGregor personality style kind of guy. So that's definitely one I'll check out. And the prelims, probably that Jack Shore dude's really good. That fight should
Jack
be pretty
Shore
good
and Amir
too.
Khani, like that's. I mean, there's a reason that's the main event on the prelim right there.
Yeah, like Mokaev, that Muhammad Mokaev guy's nuts. He's like Islam. But like he's fighting a soup can, and he's probably gonna just wrestle him down real easy and get him. Like nobody wants to fight that guy. He's struggling. He's got that treatment right now where he can't fight up because everyone knows they're gonna lose the rank to him. So he's just getting whoever they throw at him, taking him down 14 times.
Right.
They're moving on to the next poor bastard that's got to fight him. It was like the Piotr Jan fight, man. What, Merab Dashvili? First of all, I ate my words. I thought Jan was going to do so much better, and he just got ragdolled. But like, dude, what are you, 49 takedowns?
Yeah, Dashvili was
what the fuck?
A monster.
49
Dude,
takedowns?
he didn't gas either. He had so much energy. Like, that guy,
how do you fight somebody doing that, Viss?
He could be the champ.
What the fuck?
He definitely could be the champ.
Aljo's he's gonna beat Henry and then leave, right, and go up to feather and try to fight.
Is that what's gonna happen?
That's what everyone thinks. Or these guys are gonna have some like weird, like challenger and champion like alliance going on. So like you're gonna have to like beat Merab to fight Aljamain.
I don't know, dude.
Like that. Dana's not going to let him do that for that long. He's going to be like, listen, you guys either got to fight or Aljamain, you got to go up. Like, you can't hold up the division with your friendship here,
I mean, if anything, I always hear that between the fighters.
Fight.
But, like, I don't know. Is that really true, bro? Like,
Make them fight. Bro.
Like, if you're really joined the UFC, you're willing to get into a cage and be a cage fighter, and your goal and your mind was when you came into the UFC, you wanted to be a UFC champion. If you get to the top and you got a boy, you gotta just sit with him and be like, hey man, like, you're my friend, I love you, right? But like this is both our dreams right now, and we got to go in the cage, and the fucking best man wins, and like we can still be friends and love each other afterwards. But like, man, we got to fight. We're cage fighters, right?
Yeah, like this is what we do, you know.
I mean, you growing up, you did high school sports, right?
Yeah,
you were friends with you had some boys at other high schools, but dude, when it came to like, hey, dude, we step on the court,
right?
We go out on the field, we are fucking playing football, bro. Like it stops,
or even just competing.
It
with
stops
your friends
while we're
on your
competing,
own team.
but then when we get off the field, you're still my friend. Like
exactly.
Yeah,
bro, that reminds me of a story in high school.
Dude,
like
you always hear this thing with the fighters, and I'm just like, I get it. You guys train together, and everything, but dude, at the end of the day, like, you gotta go in at the end and still fight for the title, bro.
And that type of competition pushes you to be better, you know. And that, like you said, it reminds me of a story in high school. So I transferred back to my public school my senior year of high school. I was at a private school for the first 3 years, and all these people I transferred back with, I grew up with my whole life, you know, playing youth sports with, etc. And when I came back, I was playing football, and I came in defensive end, and I was outperforming one of the guys who was like in my class as senior. And the way they told you if you were the starter or not is you had a black jersey hanging in your locker when you went into practice. And I remember walking in the locker room, and he'd meet me in the locker room, and he opened up his locker, and that jersey wasn't in there. And he looks at me, he's like, "Open your locker," because like everybody calls you Ham IRL. He's like, I need to see this. And I opened my locker, and guess what was in my locker? The starting jersey. And he was fucking pissed. He like slammed the locker. He wasn't like mad at me. He wasn't like he wasn't like trying to scrap me, but it pushed him to be better.
Right.
And then he started like, and then the other defensive end and him were competing for the starting spot, and then they started getting better with friendly competition. And the three of us became a rotating trio on both sides because that friendly competition pushed us all to elevate our game a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, I definitely agree that like friendly competition pushes you maybe even harder than like animosity competition, because you're like, yo, this is somebody who I'm friends with, I respect, like they're doing better than me. Now I'm gonna make it my responsibility to do better than them or be on even par of competition with them. So I firmly agree. If they don't fight, Aljamain's got to go up because they can't hold up the division like that. We want to see some action in the bantamweight, man.
Yep. All right. Main card.
Main event. What do you think? All right, let's start from the top down. Edwards, Usman.
If anything,
what do we got?
We should start from the bottom up.
All right, let's start from the bottom. Vettori Dolidze.
Okay, here's the thing. I've seen Dolidze fight a little bit.
Vicious.
Vettori, obviously a freaking monster. I'm trying to look at
and
Dolidze.
He's got the iron chin,
yeah,
bro.
Dude.
Vettori's got the hard fucking head.
Dude, Dolidze did so good against Hermanson, man.
That calf slicer, what the fuck?
He did so good against Hermanson. Like, he went out there and freaking had a dominant performance against Hermanson.
Bro, I don't think there's been many calf slicers in the UFC, too. Like, that was a special one as well. You saw Hermanson's face. You could see the pain. He was like, oh, what the fuck?
Dude, I don't – honestly, I don't know on this one. This is going to be a fun one to watch because Vettori and Dolidze are both some savages. So
And Vittori's so experienced, too, in the middleweight. He's fought everyone. Izzy, Rob, fucking Costa. Like, you know, he's fought all the big dudes. So it's like this could be that fight for Dolidze, which is like a big step-up fight,
this could launch him.
You know, so this is a make or break fight for Dolidze.
I imagine most people don't know who Dolidze is still.
No. I think he's really come onto the scene over the past, like his past 3 showings have been fantastic. And like you said, easily the biggest win was over Jack not long ago. But yeah, he's been on a tear in this middleweight division right now. So we'll see what happens. You know, Marvin's definitely going to test his wrestling. So if he could stay, you know, on his feet or be active off his back, I think he could do well. He is a big underdog. I think like a plus 300 almost. So Vegas money is definitely heavy on Marvin. What's your prediction? Who do you take?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know in this fight. Like the only reason I think the odds would be that way is just because like people don't know enough about Dolidze. Like how well he did against Hermanson.
True.
Makes me think that he could
Marvin
be like
fight
a sleeper
Jack too, right?
He could absolutely be a sleeper. I think he did fight Jack. I don't know.
Yeah, Marvin fought Jack. Marvin actually got taken down 2 times. I'm looking at the stats right now. He did win the decision. He outstruck him 140 to 200. But Jack did take down Marvin 2 times. So would that be, you know, if you look at some of those fights, that granted that was in 2020. So Marvin's fought a lot of people since then. Right. So it's a little bit different. Maybe he's grown a little bit. But with that being said, you know, that does seem like maybe Dolidze could find it here. But that, like, I agree with you. That's a tough one to call. and probably will just be like a pretty good fight to watch.
Right. So
next we got the ladies.
Jennifer Maia, and Casey O'Neill. O'Neill's pretty new to the UFC, and I'm trying to look at Maia. Maia's been fighting UFC since like 2018.
Yeah, she's fought them all. She's
definitely fought some good ones.
Up and down success, like in her career.
Shevchenko in the co-main event back in 2020. Yeah. Wow, I didn't realize that.
I think Maia's one of those ladies who's been in the game for a long time, super experienced.
She's fought some good ones. This is like a good test for Casey O'Neill.
Exactly. She's definitely more of a gatekeeper now, and like Casey O'Neill, I know is a pretty touted female prospect right now at the flyweight. Like she's got some hands. She's knocking people out. Getting some finishes. So it will be interesting to see if like that's definitely that's kind of similar to the opening fight. Yeah. Experienced veteran fighter versus the newer up and comer fighter. So I think
do you have the odds?
Another test.
Do you have the odds for this one?
Casey O'Neill's from what I last checked, remember she's the favorite, about minus 175, I believe, leaning towards Casey O'Neill this weekend as the favorite. So she is the favorite here, unlike Roman. And I think that's just because I think people think that Maia might be past that part of her career. Like she's not the gatekeeper anymore. She's the test, and then she's going to get beat by the younger fighter, and then they'll give her another younger fighter, and then maybe 3 more fights, maybe cut her or something. Who knows?
Right. This looks like, to me, when I first seen it, I'm like, I think this is a fight where they're trying to help like build Casey O'Neill, because Casey definitely has a chance to be like a star in the future if she continues to do well. So,
100%.
Oh, this
got
brought up to the main card, right? Or this was supposed to be on a different card and got canceled or something. This Gunnar Nelson and Bryan Barberena.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be a couple of fights ago. Yeah,
was it supposed to be on the Jan Bashvili card? Is that what happened?
No, it was? No, Gunnar Nelson was supposed to fight D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez, and I think Daniel Rodriguez pulled out with an injury, and Barberena stepped in as like not a late fill. I think Barberena's been training for a while for this fight, but yeah. Dude, talk about a fucking legend in the game that like Gunnar a lot of people don't. Yeah, Gunnar Nelson, that a lot of people probably don't really know about.
Dude, this guy been going at him since 2012. He still looks great too.
He doesn't fight a lot. He only fights, maybe twice a year. If he does fight once a year, like he's not a very active fighter like some of the new guys are.
Right.
He's not fighting 3 times a year, which is why I think a lot of people don't know him, even though he's been in the UFC for over 10 years. But he like apparently has like he's like some like Gordon Ryan level of jiu-jitsu, right? I think he's really he's like a fucking super black belt. He's like a 2-time world champion. Belt. He's like he's like a he's not no strip mall black belt, right? He's the real deal. So it will be interesting to see what he could do against like Barberena, but.
Dude, Barberena is like a savage too.
He's a brawler, man. He's like the farm boy, He's got that he's got the whole Bryce Mitchell vibe going. Like I think he's farmer by day, UFC fighter by night. So he's got that dog in him, and dude, he always scraps.
I have a feeling
throwdown.
This will be fight of the night. I have a feeling. I think this is the one that ends up being fight of the night. I could see that. Personally, I think Nelson's gonna end up getting the win somehow, some way in the end.
I think he's gonna submit him.
This could be fight of the night right here.
Barberena got submitted by RDA not too long ago, back in December. So I think that if RDA will submit your man, Gunnar's jiu-jitsu is just nasty.
It's going to be between this one and the next one is for fight of the night.
Bro, right? That's what I was going to say. This next one, man, I'm excited. Gaethje, Fiziev, wow. This is going to be – this should be some freaking fireworks here as long as Justin Gaethje isn't at too much of a technical disadvantage. I can't wait for this fight. I think this fight has the makings to be fight of the year.
Man, this guy is a freak. I'm looking at his. Good. I mean, he took out Rafael dos Anjos, Bobby Green, Brad Riddell, Renato Moicano.
Brad Riddell was watched. That Brad Riddell fight was nuts. Actually, I watched that fight live, and that was before Brad. I think that Fiziev snatched Brad Riddell's soul. After that fight, Brad Riddell just went on a losing skid, and then he retired. Because that fight was nuts against Fiziev. I remember watching that fight, and I think he took him out with like a spinning heel kick or something. And it was one of those like really elongated like fall overs where Brad Riddell like ate it and then just like and just went down. But yeah, Fiziev is
you're gonna get to see if Fiziev has some durability in this, like how much durability he has in this fight. Because you're not just gonna Justin Gaethje's gonna drag you into deep water, bro. He's gonna find a way.
back foot Justin Gaethje, exactly. And somebody like Fiziev, who's more like a Muay Thai kickboxer, that they operate worse on the back foot. And what does Gaethje do? Fantastic. He's just
gonna go
push pace.
forward.
So if he can keep Fiziev backing up and just chop the leg, maybe a little Edson Barboza vibe here. Everyone thought Gaethje can't hang with a technical striker like Barboza,
right?
And then like
Barboza
got slept.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? First round KO. So like I think I definitely agreed. Like it'll be really interesting to see what happens at the bell on that fight. And dude, don't blink in that fight.
Absolutely.
I don't think it goes past round 3 personally, but maybe these guys will bring some more of like a smart approach. But that's looking like a inside 3 rounds. Someone's getting finished in that fight.
Dude, yeah. So Gaethje's been in the UFC now since 2017. And his only losses are to Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, Khabib, and
Charlie.
Yeah, Charles Oliveira. And like
he's only lost to legends.
Monsters, yeah. So
he's only lost to legends.
So guess what? That means if Fiziev beats him, he's a legend. Then he's gonna be in the next up and comer to challenge for the title in this division. Is that what it's gonna be?
Yeah, and I think that's what's good. A lot of these lightweight guys have kind of been talking smack about, on the top 4 or 5 because they don't want to fight outside of the top 4 or 5. So I know Fiziev's right on the bubble there. I think he's like ranked 6 or something right now.
Yeah, we're about to see.
We'll finally see kind of like one of these new guys coming in to fight one of the top 5 and see if we'll get a shakeup in that top 5 there. They also, because I know the lightweight's going to get interesting. You got Dariush and Charlie in May, I think, and then I know Dustin's probably getting ready to get another fight going here really soon too.
Yeah.
And then Chandler and Connor, I don't know if they're going to end up fighting at lightweight because of that stuff.
I hear it's going to be at 170. That's what I hear. We're hearing 170.
Yeah, something a little bit heavier. So we should see a big shakeup in the lightweight division that I will say has been, a little stale. Not super stale with Islam coming onto it and all, but like a little stale for a while with that top 5. So I'm excited to see guys like Fiziev get in there. I know you got Sakarian not too far off that top 5 rank too. So all right, who do you got? What's the Viss pick here?
Leon versus Usman in the rematch.
Who you got for Justin Rafael though? Do you have a pick there, or you think just like does not go the distance kind of vibe?
Dude, I'm gonna still go with Justin Gaethje in this fight.
I like the pick, man. I like the pick. I'll back you up on the Gaethje pick, so that way if Gaethje loses, we could be wrong together because I like Gaethje here as well.
Right.
I think it's a stylistically bad matchup for Rafael, and I think if Justin comes with that forward pressure like he always does, I think that he's gonna put Rafael somewhere he doesn't want to be. So I'll go with you with Gaethje too.
Yep, I'm gonna go with Gaethje.
On to the main event, the trilogy fight, the Leon Edwards, the Kamaru versus Kamaru.
It is a trilogy,
Usman.
They fought
it is the trilogy, 1-1 each. As we all know, the head kick hurt around the world, but it was definitely 14 minutes, or not even 14 minutes. What would have been 24 minutes of domination by Kamaru Usman.
Yep.
I guess the question I'll leave with you, leading into your analysis of it, is Usman never been knocked out.
Yep.
Never lost or hasn't lost in a very long time. Leon knows he gets dominated by Usman for 2 fights almost the whole time and then lands that head kick.
Yep.
Have we seen a switch in the confidence tables now where Leon will now have some newfound confidence and Usman might have some newfound doubt? Or do you think it's just back to what it was and we're going to see Usman come out and take it?
I don't think Usman's got doubt. In his head, he probably is like, I made one little mistake, right? And he knew he was dominating that fight. He knows he beat him the last time. If anything, I think you see Usman go out in this fight, have more urgency, right? Like, I think he gets probably like a takedown at some point or anything, and he goes for a finish at some point. I don't think he's going to just let it go the same way. I have a feeling he's going to have a little more urgency to get a finish, and I think he's going to be able to do it.
Are you vibing with this, that we're going to see more of that style of Usman that comes out when he fought Jorge Masvidal rather than when he fought somebody like, you know how he was like really setting up the knockout, faking the takedown, going for that big overhand? Like, I kind of have a similar ideology. Like,
maybe
we see
it's
Usman
very possible
leave that wrestling and just like, I'm here to make a statement. and like it wasn't to wrestle, you know. So maybe we see another head explosion. But as long as Leon Edwards' corner is not dripping water on his head, it shouldn't be as dramatic.
I don't know if he's gonna be able to pull that off against Leon.
But Leon's a good striker.
Striking is so good. He's got good defense as a striker as well.
His kicks are crazy. He's caught so many people with that kick. It wasn't just Usman. He caught Bellow Muhammad with that kick before the no contest eye poke. He has, I think, 2 other knockouts on his resume with that exact shin to chin. So
yeah, and Usman's going to be ready for that this time as well.
Yeah, he doesn't want to wake up, as he said on Joe Rogan, that Leon Edwards, he woke up 20 minutes later and still didn't know, like for 20 minutes he was awake but didn't know what was going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that was a serious. I saw a funny picture online, like it was his fighter picture and like half his head was missing and like someone was like, Usman's still looking for half of his head.
Man.
So so based on that analysis, you're going with Usman, like
I'm going to go with Usman.
Comes back.
I'm going to go with Usman. I think probably like 3rd or 4th round he gets a takedown and he gets like a ground and pound finish is what I'm thinking.
Ooh, okay, a little TKO. I like that. I think Usman's going to take it too. I man, as much as I want to see Leon land another strike like that, it's going to be so hard to replicate that.
If he does it though, like I'll give him mad props. I just don't see it happening.
100%, 100%. I think if he wins, he'll be the greatest UFC fighter from the UK ever. Like he's already close against Michael Bisping. I think a lot of people are already comparing, but like if he wins this, without a doubt, he'll be the best UK MMA UFC fighter ever. So
yeah, you're 100% right.
It'd be cool to see him win something like that for the whole like hype behind it or whatnot. But man, it's gonna be freaking hard. It's gonna be freaking hard against Usman.
Dude, how crazy you think the crowd's gonna get like when the main event happens in the UK? This is like the first time UFC's been there since like 2018 or 2016, one of the two. So
yeah, when was the last time they were in London? I don't know.
It was
Didn't
a while.
they do one with Patty there, I thought? Or maybe I'm mistaken. I'm thinking of a different one. Either way, I think it's the first time there's a title fight in London.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's the title fight. That's what I think it is.
It's a UK-based fighter fighting for the title. I think since Bisping fought Dan Hendo. Which, by the way, man, I watched some highlights of that Dan Hendo overhand right was fucking nuts. Like how many times he caught Bisping with that in both of their fights. Because even in the rematch when Bisping won, he still got caught with that overhand right like 3 times. Man, that was some great UFC back then, man. All right, well there you have it with the 286 picks. We're going Usman, Gaethje, Nelson, O'Neal, and then we're not really sure with the Dolidze Vittori fight, but I think that one should be pretty freaking good too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Hell yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that'll conclude our Watch Your Mic episode. Thanks, everybody, for watching. That was a fun time, Viss. Thank you, brother.
That was.
What's on the
agenda
agenda
for the
for the
I
rest
don't know
of the
exactly
day
when
today?
it is, but I lost your camera at some point. You might have accidentally clicked out of that window like I did last time.
Oh, crap. That's exactly what I did. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
It's all good,
totally derped on that, so
I
next time I won't.
I think we had it for like 90% plus.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, it's funny you said that because I remember just clicking off of that like maybe 10 minutes ago or something like that.
Yep.
So for the last half, we lost the video. That's my apology. I got to leave that window open then. Good to know. All right, well, I won't do that next time.
Yeah.
For episode 6, we'll be locked in. What you doing for the rest of the day, buddy? Some Apex?
Yeah, gonna jump over in some Apex yourself.
Yo, let's go, man. Enjoy the grind. I've been playing some random ranks in PUBG. I'm just having some fun, different content. I'm gonna do that for a little bit. Then I'm probably gonna jump over to Tarky. It's actually my daughter's 2nd birthday today, so I'm doing an early day. We're gonna go hang out with the fam jam for a little bit. We got a little pizza party tonight, little family party tomorrow. So we got a busy weekend here. So just gonna jump into some games and then roll out into that, man.
Yeah, dude, enjoy that. That'll be flipping awesome.
Yo, thanks, Viss. Yo, have a great weekend, buddy. Enjoy the fights, and you the man, bud. Thanks for the great cast.
We gotta do a little sign off for him, bro. Let everybody out there to know to watch your mic. All right.
You might not be hearing it in Call of Duty anymore because they got to figure out what the hell they're doing over there. But don't you ever forget it, ladies and gentlemen, to watch your damn mic when you're talking to Viss and Hambinoo. All right. Well, you ladies and gentlemen have a fantastic Friday, a beautiful weekend, and I'll see everybody next week for another episode with my boy Viss.
All right, yo, brother.
Be
Have
good,
a good rest
brother.
of your day. Yep.
Take it easy, man.
Later.
Peace, pack.
The merch is up on the shop, along with the way better t-shirts. If you need to let them know that you're just simply way better out here, boom. Got those up there. We got shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got everything. All right? There's literally everything on the shop.